Welcome to Stay Tuned's Garage. My name is Alex, and today we're going to be working on this hunk of junk, my 1996 Honda Accord. So today is going to be a pretty simple, step-by-step how-to video on how to replace the upper control arms on the front of the car. It's a very simple process. If you need to replace them for whatever reason, this is your video. Step one, you're going to want to jack up your car and put it on jack stands. Alright. Step two, you are going to want to take off both of the front wheels, or one at a time, however you prefer. And now we have access to all the components we are going to be messing with, and let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so here is my upper control arm. Got the whole brake setup right here, hub, steering rack, blah blah blah, shock. So this is what we're going to be replacing today. It's actually very simple, very easy to do. So step three is going to be to just take the little cotter pin that is in here. As you can see, there's a little cotter pin. You just have to bend this straight and then pull it out from this side. So you might have to push it from the back and then pull it out, and then loosen this bolt here, which should be a 17mm castle nut. And you want to loosen it, but you don't want to take it completely off. You want to just leave a couple threads on it, and I will show you why in just a little bit. Alright, and real quick, if you are trying to loosen this castle nut here and the bolt or ball joint end is spinning with the castle nut, what you have to do is get some vice grips in here and grab the ball joint. Avoid grabbing the top of the control arm right here, or the base of it. You want to get inside, so maybe using some needle nose pliers to really get in there thin, so that it grabs the ball joint, and then you can turn this from it, if that makes sense. And so we're gonna loosen the castle nut and just leave it like this, where there's enough space of separation. And the reason for this is now we have to separate the control arm from the knuckle. This is what your whole wheel assembly sits on. And the way I'm going to separate them is I'm gonna grab a hammer, a big hammer, and smack this part so that it loosens the ball joint from its little hole. You could also buy a ball joint separating tool that it's like a fork that goes in here, and the more you push it in, the more it pushes it out. The downside of using those tools is that it usually ruins this ball joint boot, or the little rubber boot on it. But since you are replacing this, then it's not that big of a deal. You can go ahead and remove it and destroy that boot. It won't matter. So yeah, now I'm gonna go ahead, grab my hammer, and smack the crap out of this until it loosens up. Alright, so as you saw in that last little clip, if you smack the knuckle right here in the area surrounding the ball joint, it will basically just loosen up the tight fit of the ball joint into its little hole, and will allow it to separate. And since when you jack up the car, your whole suspension is drooped down, your control arm naturally wants to go up, so just you undoing this will cause it to want to pop up. And as you can see here, it's springs where it wants to go up. So yeah, now go ahead and take that off. Let the suspension just kind of drag down. Don't worry about it. And the bulk of this whole thing is pretty much done. You just have 2 more bolts to remove, and the old control arm is out. Alright, step number 4. We are actually going to go to the inside of the engine bay. And as you can see here, here is where our shock or coilover would bolt in. 3 bolts right there. And if you're looking at it from the side of the car, to the right, there's this bolt right here. and then there's going to be a bolt right under this fuse box. So step 4 is remove the fuse box to get access to the bolt, and remove the 2 little nuts on the studs. If we go to the other side of the car, you're gonna see them very blatantly right here. There's one nut right here and the other nut over here. So step 4, do both sides, remove both of the bolts on both sides. On that side, it just includes removing the fuse box, which is a pain, but it's not too bad. All right, real quick, I just want to give you guys a little information on the whole fuse box situation. So all you have to do is remove the 10mm bolt that sits right here, and then back here you can see there's these 2 little tabs on each side. So all you have to do is grab this tab and push it out and pull up, and do the same thing over here, push it out and pull up, and then it will make the fuse box, kind of float in place, giving you enough space to get a ratcheting wrench down there and getting the little nut out. And these are 17 mils, just like the castle nut on the bottom. All right, so here is the old control arm. As you can see, this is pretty loose in here. I can move it with one thumb. That's not the best. It's still smooth, but it's very loose. So this is the old one, and here is the new one. So this one, this ball joint is super tight. And then it also has a re-greasable fitting, so I could re-grease this later down in the road to maintain it and keep it properly lubed at all times. Unlike this one, where it's just whatever lube they put in here when they made it is all it had, and there's no re-adding grease or anything like that. So if this ever split, which it did, all the grease would come out, and then there's no lubrication, and it'd lead for early failure of the ball joint. But now with this one, I don't have to worry about that. And you might be asking why I'm replacing the whole assembly rather than just the ball joint or the bushings, and it's a very simple answer. This whole part, brand new control arm, brand new bushings, upper control arm bushings, and brand new adjustable ball joint, all this was, I think it was like around $40, when over here the ball joint itself would be $20. The bushings for both of them would be close to like $10 to $20. So I get a whole brand new assembly. Everything's already assembled. I don't have to press any bushings in or out. I don't have to press this ball joint in or out. It's a very quick, like 20-minute procedure to just swap out one side. If I had to do all that, it'd be a couple hours at least, and I'd get a lot dirtier. If you don't have the tools to do all the pressing and stuff like that, it'd be a lot more costly to do it like that and more time consuming. This is all plug and play, just bolt on, and it's an upgrade in every way. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and leave these linked down in the description. I think it's $40 for the both of them. Might be a little less, might be a little more. And yeah, so now step 5 is basically do everything we did in reverse. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that, and I'll see you guys in a little bit. Just so you know, whenever you do get a serviceable ball joint like this where you have to grease it, make sure you grease it when you put it on. So they send these without any grease in them. So just make sure you put grease in it before you, either once you've installed it, like right away before you use it, or like before installing it. Just grease it up because it needs it. Another thing is, I wanted to let you guys know the torque specs of everything. These upper nuts that bolt onto these are 47 foot-pounds, and the little castle nut that goes on the ball joint is 32 foot-pounds of torque. And just like that, I am all done. Just know that when you tighten this up, some lube will like spit out on the sides of the ball joint. That's completely normal, don't worry about that. Just kind of wipe it off, or you can leave it, just that if you leave it, there's a chance of it like dripping down and getting everywhere. So I just wipe it off. And yeah, so one last thing, whenever you replace anything in the suspension, it is highly recommended that you get your alignment checked, because having everything properly tight, once again, if there was something wrong with your old control arms or whatever, or any like manufacturing like little mistake they might have made, or just any little difference could change your alignment. So I am all done with this side. I'm gonna go ahead and do the other side, but I'm gonna do that off camera. It's the same exact thing, just on the other side. So there's no point in me showing it. Thank you for watching. I really hope you enjoyed. I hope it helped you out if you needed to find out how to do this. It's a very simple process. This is just one of the very many things that I feel like I have to update on this car, because I mean, it's a 22-year-old car. I need to, 23-year-old car. It's a 23-year-old car. I'm pretty sure I need to start replacing some things. Not because it needs it necessarily, but just for peace of mind and to just take care of my car. So once again, thank you for watching. Like I said, parts I used will be in the description. I'll leave a grease gun in the description as well if you don't have one and you'd like to purchase one for this use. But yeah, have a good one.